In a democracy, elections are how we make sure that our leaders listen to the people. But there's a problem. With the very same voters and the very same candidates, different voting methods can produce completely different winners. Some rules can let polarizing candidates win or shut out whole groups of voters from the real decision. It's not just a matter of who wins the election, but how the winner is chosen. The rules we use to elect our leaders shape who ends up representing us, and whether every voter has a meaningful say in that choice. In this video, I will walk through a single election with one group of voters and 3 candidates. We will see how familiar rules like pick one, party primaries, and ranked choice voting can ignore important opinions. And then we will look at a simple alternative that's designed to make sure that all voters matter. Imagine a city with 2 main political camps. About 60% of the voters lean purple, and about 40% lean orange, so purple candidates usually have the advantage. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. For years, many purple politicians have won by attacking orange voters and their concerns. So orange voters have not felt included in the conversation about the city's future. In this election, 3 candidates stepped forward. Tim is the favorite of the purple base. His speeches fire up many of the purple voters by treating orange voters as the enemy. So orange voters strongly dislike Tim, and some purple voters worry that he's too divisive. Oscar is the leading orange candidate. Many orange voters feel that he finally speaks for them. But among purple voters, Oscar is deeply unpopular. They see him as someone who will ignore their priorities. And then there's Bill. He focuses on issues that matter to both sides and tries to balance their views. About a quarter of voters in the middle, including some purple voters, see Bill as the best person to move the city forward without turning every disagreement into a fight. So we have a base candidate, an orange champion, and a bridge builder. It's the same city, the same voters, the same 3 candidates, only the voting rules change. Now let's see what happens when the city uses the simplest rule. Everyone chooses their favorite candidate, and the candidate with the most votes wins. On the purple side, some voters pick Tim and others pick Bill. So the purple vote is split. On the orange side, almost all voters rally behind Oscar. When we count those votes, Tim and Bill divide the larger purple camp, while Oscar collects most of the orange votes in one pile. Oscar ends up winning with the most votes. But notice what this rule ignores. The ballot only records each voter's single favorite. For almost all purple voters, Oscar is actually their last choice. They would much rather have Tim or Bill than Oscar, but that opinion is simply not on the ballot. Now suppose the city tries to fix this problem by using party primaries. Both parties hold a primary. On the orange side, Oscar runs unopposed. On the purple side, voters choose a single purple nominee, and that nominee then runs against Oscar in the general election. In each party's primary, only that party's voters take part. Purple voters have no say in picking Oscar, and orange voters have no say in choosing between Tim and Bill. Among purple voters, Tim has the loudest supporters. Bill has quieter support from people who like his more balanced approach. When the primary votes are counted, Tim defeats Bill and becomes the purple nominee. In the general election, voters now face a choice between Tim and Oscar. Bill is not on the ballot at all. The purple base votes for Tim, and most swing voters somewhat reluctantly do the same. So Tim wins. But there's still a problem. The orange voters never get a say in the crucial choice between Tim and Bill. A first step towards using more of what voters think is to ask everyone to rank the candidates. First choice, second choice, third choice. Orange voters put Oscar first, Bill second, and Tim last. Most purple voters put Tim first, Bill second, and Oscar last. Middle voters put Bill first, usually with Tim ahead of Oscar. Once we have everyone's rankings, we still need a way to pick a winner. One common method is ranked choice voting, also called instant runoff voting. Here is what happens in this election. First, we look at everyone's first choice. Oscar gets almost all of the orange first-place votes, while Tim and Bill split the purple and middle votes. Oscar leads, but not by enough to win. He needs a majority, which is at least 51 out of the 100 voters. Bill ends up in third place, and because no one has a majority, the candidate with the fewest first-place votes is eliminated, so Bill is out. The ballots that had Bill as a first choice are then moved to their next choice. In this election, they mostly go to Tim. In the final round, Tim has a majority of first-place votes, so Tim wins under ranked choice voting. But there's still a problem. Consider the orange voters who rank Oscar first, Bill second, and Tim last. Because Oscar is never eliminated, the counting rule never looks past their first choice. Their preference for Bill over Tim never affects the result. So even though every voter wrote down a full ranking, ranked choice voting still ignores some important opinions. These orange voters lock in their favorite and never get a chance to weigh in on the choice between Tim and Bill. The solution is to compare the candidates head-to-head and give every voter a say. Take Bill and Tim. For this comparison, each voter who ranks Bill above Tim gives 1 point to Bill, and each voter who ranks Tim above Bill gives 1 point to Tim. In our example, Bill gets 65 points and Tim gets 35. So Bill wins this matchup by a margin of 30. Here is the key advantage. Orange voters who rank Oscar first still get a say when comparing Bill and Tim. If they prefer Bill to Tim, that counts in this comparison. Next, compare Bill and Oscar. Again, each voter gives 1 point to whichever of the two they rank higher. More voters rank Bill above Oscar than the other way around, so Bill also wins the Bill-Oscar comparison. Finally, compare Oscar and Tim. More voters rank Tim above Oscar than the other way around, so Tim beats Oscar. Looking across all of the head-to-head comparisons, there is a clear pattern. Bill beats every other candidate one-on-one. Instead of ignoring parts of people's rankings or shutting groups out of the decision, we are using those rankings to see how voters compare each pair of candidates. The consensus choice winner is the candidate who beats every opponent in a one-on-one matchup. The one who can win a majority in every comparison, sometimes with different groups of voters forming that majority. That kind of broad support is what Bill has in this election. In this one city, with the same voters and the same 3 candidates, we saw how different rules can lead to very different winners. Simple pick one voting ignores most of what people think. Party primaries shut some voters out of the key choice. And ranked choice voting still ignores important opinions. Consensus choice voting works differently. It takes into account every head-to-head comparison, so every voter has a say in the decision about who should win. The rules we use to choose our leaders are up to us. We should choose rules that take every voter seriously and reward candidates who build bridges rather than deepen divisions. To learn more, visit betterchoices.vote. If you want to use consensus choice voting for your next election or poll, visit app.betterchoices.vote.